What's up people, in this video we're going to take a look at how to brew ginger beer at home. You want an alcoholic or non-alcoholic, we're going to go through the process right now. All the pubs are shut down, some major boring shit, so let's brew our own beer at home. Let's take a look how it's done. Right, now let's take a look at some of the ingredients that we'll need. It's really simple. Come on over, let's have a little look at what we got. So we've got some ginger. I picked up half a kilo of ginger. Some of it's already been used. Half a kilo of ginger for like £2.50. Right, you're going to need some sugar. You're going to need some containers, obviously, to store it in. So I've got an old milk carton here, a jar. So we're going to use this one for the alcoholic and this one for non-alcoholic ginger beer. Also, you're going to need a ginger bug. Now, I wonder, you're going to say to me, what's a ginger bug? I don't know what a ginger bug is. Well, good. Here's one I made earlier. Basically, a ginger bug is, if you don't have yeast, you can't get your hands on yeast, you use the skin from the ginger. Inside the skin of the ginger is a natural yeast, so you do a wild fermentation, and I'll show you now. When I take a clip, goes to another clip where we've done a video of the process of making this ginger beer. So let's take a quick look at that.
So you just grab your ginger. Once you've got your ginger, what we're going to use on this is, there's a natural yeast inside the skin of the ginger and bacteria. So we're going to grate all this up roughly. Mind your fingertips, or you end up getting some of your human skin in there as well. So once we've got our ginger all grated up, you're ready to pop that in your pot. Throw that in. It's a messy job, but someone's got to do it, eh? Right, so now you've got all your ginger in your jar, sit in the bottom. You've now got to add a bit of sugar. This is how you create your culture. So you've got your wild yeast in there, and we're using white sugar just because it's a bit easier to ferment, and also it's all we've got in bloody house. So don't worry about ratios, just throw it in. Obviously, the more sugar you put in, the more alcoholic it will be, and the less sugar you put in, the less alcoholic it will be. It'll be more acidic than alcoholic. Now, that should do it. Now we're just going to top that up with water. I'm going to use some nice filtered water I made earlier. Should have been on Blue Peter, shouldn't I? Fill that right up. I'll do. Give that a good old mix about. Nice big stir. Right, now you give everything a good mix up, you're pretty much ready to go. So if you warm it up, obviously you become more alcoholic, and if you keep it cool, then it will stay more of an acidic kind of drink. So what we're going to do is just pop that on the side and leave it here for a week, and we need to feed it a little bit of ginger and a little bit of sugar every single day. So we're going to cover that up. I've got a bit of the old Mrs. Old Tights here, just over the top of the lid. Keep that nice and secure, keep any nasties out, and it allows it to breathe. So you can let all the gases out, and at the same time any wild yeast spores that are in the air into the jar.
Right, so now we've got our ginger bug already made. Let's come and take a look at it. Super fizzy. This has been 6 days in fermentation, so you've got to keep feeding it, like I was saying. Now this is what it looks like. Now if you give it a little stir, you should see it start fizzing up. It's been super bright. Look at the bubbles in that. Can you see the bubbles in that? Get the camera right up on that so you can see how fizzy it is. Look at all the bubbles. Right, so that is ready to go. It's fizzing up. You should smell it, and it should smell like the day after a good night out. Some serious party time chaos. So now what we're going to do, we're going to move to the first step of the process, which is making the ginger tea. So the first step, we're going to need to chop up our ginger and prepare it and get it ready for the ginger tea. Right, so once you've chopped up your ginger, you want to add them to a pot. So we're doing 2 batches. So we've got this one is our alcoholic batch, which is in here. Our non-alcoholic batch is in there. So it's the sugar that turns to alcohol. So what we're going to do, our non-alcoholic batch, we're going to put in 4 tablespoons of sugar. And 1 fuck. And then the rest of the bag will now go into our alcoholic batch. We'll just pour that in. We want to stir it round because we want all the sugar to dissolve. So the non-alcoholic batch has already come to the boil. We're just leaving that now to simmer for about 20-25 minutes in there to really get the flavour out. We've added a teaspoon of honey to this one. Some people add like sultanas and raisins and cinnamon or whatever to get the flavour out, but that's completely up to you. And the alcoholic one, I'm just sticking just to the ginger because I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. I've just watched loads of videos online and recipes. So this is how we're going to roll with this one. So once this comes to the boil, we'll leave that to simmer for 20-25 minutes, and then we'll turn everything off and just leave it to cool down to room temperature. Right, so our ginger beer has been on the simmer for 25 minutes. It's been left to cool, so it's now just above room temperature, and it's ready to be drained off. So you can have a little look now, see what that looks like. Right, so now we've filled up our containers, we're going to add the ginger bug. As I was saying, it's a natural fermentation process, so this is our starter. The yeast in there is all fizzing and it's ready to go. So we're going to drain this off. I'm going to add 3/4 of this jug to this container, which is going to be our alcoholic brew. And this is our non-alcoholic, so I'll be adding like 1/4 to that. And then we'll top up with a little bit of water, leaving some space. So let's just drain this off and then we'll fill them up with the ginger bug. Right, so now we've got our containers full up. We've left a bit of headroom for gases and froth and whatever in both of them. So these will now be left out. The alcoholic one will be left out at room temperature for 2 weeks. So we'll come back in 2 weeks' time and we'll test that one. Hopefully we'll get a little bit drunk on that one. And we've got the non-alcoholic one, so that's going to be out for 1 week. And we'll come back to that one. If you wanted to carry on brewing ginger beer, we used the whole ginger bug there because I don't intend to do any more after that. For a while anyhow, but we would still keep some of that fluid in there, in the jar, and then we'll just add a little bit more water, teaspoon of sugar, just keep feeding it to keep it alive. And I've seen videos of people that have the ginger bug for 2 years. So you can keep it alive by just keep feeding it and feeding it. We didn't have to use the whole thing like I did. So if you want to carry on brewing it, you can keep the ginger bug alive. Right, so now our containers are ready to be stored. Just want to quick mention this as well. You need to burp your containers. So all the yeast that's inside these bowls are going to be eating up the sugars and turning it all into alcohol. So there's going to be a lot of gas building up inside these containers. So you need to make sure that you burp, and you can do that simply by just taking the lid off. I've seen some videos of some people don't even put the lid on tight just so the gases can get out. But just make sure you burp them every day to make sure that you're relieving the pressure, especially like in containers like this one, which is glass, because obviously that could explode, you know, glass going everywhere. So just make sure you do that every single day. You're burping your containers. Right, so it's been exactly 1 week and a non-alcoholic ginger beer has been on the brew. It does smell a bit funky, smells a bit punchy. Not something that I'd probably drink, but for video purposes I want to give it a go so the viewers, you know, get to know what's what. Alright, here we go. So don't drop dead. Right, super fizzy, it's really fizzy. Got a bit of a sour taste. Tastes alright, it doesn't taste like how it smells. But it's definitely not something that I would drink. It's not my cup of tea, but some people do brew it like that. So they can have like a cordial, around a bit of water to it, or other stuff. I'm sure if you added a bit of lemon to it, you know, for something it might be alright. But as it stands, as it is at the minute, it's a bit disappointing, and it's definitely not my cup of tea. I'm looking forward to doing the alcoholic one next week. So it's been 16 days and our alcoholic ginger beer has been on the brew. Here it is here. It was super fizzy when we first started. The bubbles were slowed right up. I'll give it an extra couple of days. So now we're going to pour some of that out. I am going to use a sieve just in case there's some floaty bits in there. So we'll give that a try now and see how it pours and how it tastes. Smells right. It smells very strong from the smell of it. Don't forget we did put a whole bag of sugar in there. It's quite fizzy. Let's give it a go. Oh yeah, it tastes right. It's quite sweet. If you added a bit of a lemon or lime to it, I reckon a shed load of ice as well will do good. But tastes great. As my mate Brendan in Australia would say, cheers and beers.